welcome to Mexico, and thank you so much for this interview. We would like to ask you what is the purpose of your visit?
Thank you. We came here to work with the staff, the management, and also the children of this unique school to work on two major aspects. First, preparing the children to the future, because the world is changing and education has to change also. And there are challenges that are unique, that are a result of COVID and of contemporary challenges that need to be addressed. And luckily to us, there's a very unique management here in Tarbut that saw these challenges and that today's system of education is not coping with, and thought about ways of intervening to change the way the material is being taught, the way the lessons are being held, the way the well-being of the children and the staff is being worked upon, and the way technology should be integrated in today's education.
Just to add that I think that Tarbut, we travel around the world, and Tarbut is one of the best schools that we saw. It's already here, but we want to make it to the next degree, to the next step. There's a wonderful staff here. They are very motivated. They like all the ideas that we bring in and all the activities that we bring in. And if to say like a very big purpose is to make a better society. And we think the education is the way to get there.
You spoke about what changed in this pandemic. Can you tell us more specifically what has changed and what we can do?
We can see that several aspects are changing. First of all, on the interpersonal level. We were in many places in Latin America, there was a year, sometimes 2-year lockdown. And that's a huge challenge for children to be isolated, separated. Children enjoyed the fact that they could sit home, play on the computer, maybe sleep late or go to sleep whenever they want, or sit in their the way they're comfortable, where they're comfortable. But eventually it has effects on the social, on the emotional level of children, on their ability to manage their time, to manage themselves, to cope with changes, especially children who started school, first grades, or moved to secondary school, or about to finish school. These are very important years, and they were lacking a framework, a physical or a group contact. And these are things that leave a scar and need to be addressed. That's first. Secondly, the world of work is changing rapidly in general, and in light of pandemic especially. Work from home, technology entering into our lives, working. People are also challenged. People also are rethinking the way they want to work, how much they want to work, where they want to work, etc. And today in schools, we need to relate to these challenges, both to the well-being of the children and to preparing and helping them develop the capabilities they will need today in today's world of work to face these challenges. The ability to work together, the ability to solve conflicts, to be able to work with others, to be able to even find the balance between life and work and understand what's important in life, how to build meaningful connections with others, with their peers, with their managers, with their teachers, among themselves, between aged, etc. And all those things are the focus of our program here.
Yeah, I think we see more and more teenagers that getting in depression and anxiety. They're walking around like zombies. They don't really want anything. It's not like they have something that they are looking forward to. And the individual is becoming more and more egocentric. He's not seeing himself as part of community, as part of society. Everybody's like taking care of themselves and what will be with myself, and not what will be with the society, what will be with the community. Lack of empathy, lots of even violence we see in some places. They don't know how to get along together. Even couples between men and women, it's become harder, and it's a problem that we see all over the world. It's not only in Israel or only in Mexico. It's really all over the world.
There's also a unique challenge for schools in Latin America is the fact that many schools have lost students because of families moving to Israel or leaving school or moving to other schools, sometimes non-Jewish schools. And it's a huge challenge to at least return to the numbers we saw before the pandemic. And these are things that we need to work on. And there's a need to develop educationally, socially. Also, the community should be part of the system of education. These are processes that need to be rethought and strategically developed to not lose our communities.
Also, to add that in a small community, if you have social issues with friends and you're not getting along with the friends, you don't have any place to belong to. And we want to keep the children inside the Jewish community and don't let them to go outside to different kind of private schools.
And there are challenges like small groups, grupitos, right? And if a child doesn't belong or feels that there's a challenge to belong, especially after COVID, there are children that never received even a phone call during COVID or were detached. The sensation of loneliness impacts a person. That's according to recent research. Like a person who feels lonely, it's like smoking 15 cigarettes a day or being an alcoholic. That's the physical impact of feeling lonely. And it's a subjective sensation. And we want children to have a connection to a meaningful group and to a meaningful adult in their lives. So this demands working with the teachers to be such, and also with the children, because there are many challenges as they in the age of adolescence, as they grow up, and there are natural things that happen. They look for their place and they look for belonging, and sometimes they hurt each other. And the ability to allow them to learn that we're in a laboratory here in school that is a microcosmos of life, and everything that happens in life can happen here. And if there's a challenge and if there's a conflict, we shouldn't run away from it. We need to work with it. We need to be able to rise above it and grow in our connection. And if something is difficult, we don't run away from that. These are things that are essential for life, but are also critical to small communities and also to large communities that want to keep and preserve their members.
We know you came with a new method. So tell us a little bit how you discovered this, how you institute this, and now how you are going to applicate this in Tarbut.
The method is called social-based learning or social-based leadership, SBL, and the method says something very simple, that the quality of the education is a result of the quality of the relationships between all the partners in the educational process. Our relationships, children are like a sponge. They don't absorb words. They absorb the energy, the feeling, the sensation that they have from their teachers, from their parents, in the community, among their peers, etc. And the biggest challenge, especially today, in today's world, where knowledge is something you can acquire. You don't need to remember things by heart. A machine can do it better than us. So learning is not memorizing things like it used to be in the past. Now learning should be focused on developing capabilities, on developing meaningful connections between others. How can I become a social architect? There are people who are building buildings. We want to build meaningful social societies and interactions. How in life demands that? How to become a psychologist to myself? So what we're doing is we've developed a method that emphasizes this, both ideologically, because a teacher is first of all is an ideologue, is an agent of social change. They don't just come and give a lesson, right? So they need to be aware of that they're becoming less of a frontal teachers. And this is something that happened here even before we came in the school, but we want to develop it even further. They need to facilitate that social happening that happens in the classroom, cognitively, emotionally, and socially. How do they become group facilitators in the classrooms? Because what happens between the children is what's important, not to me as the teacher who teaches something important. I want the most important thing in education is curiosity, right? Is their desire, is their hunger. Then they want to learn, and they learn quick. Our challenge is not with what to fulfill them, is how to bring about a need, a desire, a yearning, an interest, an appetite. When they're hungry, they will eat everything. So we're emphasizing on these aspects, how to create groups. Because the most important thing for children in this age are their peers. What my friends are saying means the world to me, with all the respect to the parents and to the teachers, right? So how do we create between them processes where they teach each other, where they together decide what are the rules in the classroom, that we should keep, and not someone will tell us, no, behave like this or like that. How can we study together in groups, in projects, in various aspects? How can we learn? What can we learn about ourselves, about our friends, and about the society in general from everything that happens in school? So the class becomes into a group. The cohort becomes into a group. The teachers become into a group. The management becomes into a group. The whole school becomes into a community, and the parents join the process, and we build a whole educational community, and the community educates, because the spirit that dwells among the community is what children absorb.
First, it's starting with a change in the mindset of the teachers about how they perceive their role when they come inside the class. If they come in just to give knowledge, and you need to be quiet. Now I'm talking, da 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 da. To this change that I'm coming, first of all, to this field of social aspects that's going around between the children. And if I want to give them knowledge, I need first to prepare this field that they can observe it. And second is to give them actual tools, how to start the day, how to bring this curiosity, how to make a reflection with the children, also to know to ask the right question that will get the trigger to the children to speak.
What did you discover about Mexico and about this school in particular that is different from others?
Mexico, that the food is spicy. But about the school in particular, we discovered that we're still surprised. We discovered how much teachers want to learn, how much the whole system is keen to develop and to change. These are things that are sometimes harder in other places. Here we're very surprised positively to their hunger to learn, to develop, to improve, to their alegría, to their happiness and their love to the children. And when you come to such a field, it's a pleasure to work with, right? We've discovered the challenges that we spoke about. We interviewed the children, we interviewed the teachers, we spoke with the parents, we gathered the needs of the school, and accordingly we've built together with the management, with Hani Weitzman and the management, the right approach that would be tailor-made to this school, so that it will be fit to the culture, it will be fit to the challenges, to the way they're used to work with the children, and how to take it from there to the next level. So the way we see it already, after working with the teachers and the prospects, is that they're going to be beautiful results here, and it will be a test case, maybe even a lighthouse to the whole of Mexico, and maybe even to the whole of Latin America.
We had a very warm welcome, and we were surprised about the connection that the teachers have with the children. They call them mi amor. It's something that in Israel you wouldn't hear. And also the connection to Israel. You walk around the halls and people are speaking in Hebrew and dancing to Hebrew music in the breaks. And it was it makes you heartwarming, yeah.
I know you worked with minorities in Israel also. You worked with Arabs, you worked with Ethiopians. And do you think that the diaspora is also like a minority for Israel?
I would like to see that as a family. That's how I would like to see that. In general, our challenges, we see the challenge as a challenge of the future of our nation. Because what we're doing eventually is trying to lower to the ground those sublime words of love thy fairness thyself. How can we build a society where it's not a cliche, or not a sticker on the bumper of the car that cuts you on the road? Rather something that is a principle of life, that חברת מופת, right? That society that we want to build that would be an exemplar to the world. In Israel, we have a lot of challenges on the level of social cohesion between all populations. We have a lot of challenges of downtrodden aspects that need to be a lot, also because of the COVID, that there are a lot of gaps that were and now are being even broader. But what's unique in our work here, I think, is that we perceive it as working with our closest family. And this is why I think implementing this method that is connected to Israel, that comes from Israel, I also see the way it's perceived. It's perceived very naturally right? And we are very, very excited from the fact that we have, to some extent, I think, that also the Israeli society, the true innovation we can bring to the world is not technology. It's the technology of connection between people. We used to have it, we maybe lost it, and now we need to reinvent ourselves to be able to be that lighthouse for others, to set an example in this, in how we treat each other and others. And that's the basic, the fundamentals of life. That's the most challenging aspect also. It's very easy to say, very difficult to implement, but it's a shlichut, and that's how we feel it.
It was very interesting to see that wherever we go, doesn't matter in culture or place or language, there is the same problems. Wherever there's two people and more, there's conflicts, there's issues, and people, it's getting harder and harder and harder to get along together and to have the same goal and the same attitude to life. And this is what we work about. So also when we're working with these minorities of community, they say, oh, we have also this problem, but there's nobody that even have this knowledge or even have this recognition about these issues and how to deal with them. So now all this social education, also with the Arab communities and also with the Ethiopians, also with the religious people in Israel, the same. They have these issues and they want to have this kind of glue that get the people together.
That's the biggest challenge when we work with all those populations. The biggest issue is to have the trained manpower. It's not funds or money, it's not even the place, it's the people. When you have the professionals who can do the work, they will create magic. And we see that everywhere. These are the biggest challenges in the Arab community because there's no history of non-formal education, etc. So we need to develop people from within. From the community will be able to lead, and with the ultra-Orthodox community they're working with, and with other minorities, etc. And the same thing is here. We want to develop local leadership. We're going to be here. We want them to lead. One of the greatest things this school did is that they decided that every teacher has to have somewhere to aspire towards, a route of development where I can grow into eventually becoming a headmaster, a principal, a manager, etc. Because eventually it's your community and you will be here, and we want to grow you into these leaders, not to bring people from the outside who will work with that. We feel privileged because for us it's our mission. We want to grow others. That's an educator. Educator is someone who's happy from the fact that his students are greater than him.
One more question. What would you tell the parents when they say there are no more values, no more limits, and technology is messing up with everything? Do you have the solution?
First of all, we need to understand that we cannot go back. And technology is not the problem. No, technology, it happens, but you can't say it's good or bad. It's the way we're using it. And we cannot also blame the children. We say, oh, this is a bad generation or something. We cannot say that because they are a result of us. So if we want to criticize something, we should criticize ourselves. Yeah, when you walk around the street, what kind of commotion you see? When you see in the media, what kind of values you see in the media? I saw now in our hotel also in Mexico, there is this program, Survival. Yeah. So what kind of values they're passing out there? How to be manipulative, how to win on the head of the others, and etc. So if we want to make a better generation with values, the education is the way, and we need to put all the effort in that.
And that's a key role. The reality is it is. Now the question is, what do we do with it? How can we utilize reality the way it is to change society, to educate better? How do we use cell phones for education? How do we use technology for education? Because they're there. We can try to pull them out of there forcefully, but it won't work. We might need to get in there and in these places that they are connected to, in those ways that they're interested by, from them, from inside there, to create the mediums, the educational surroundings, etc., that will allow us to do meaningful work with them. So that's a very important thing. Also, education has to be gamified, right? We need to change. We want them to change, but things are changing. It's a challenge. It's difficult. There's nothing harder than to change for any person. But we have to do it for their sake. Our children are 30% of society, but they're 100% of its future. So we have no choice. That's what I think we should answer. And this is why, and also working in groups, using the power of the group, of their peers, is a psychological force which exists throughout generations and will continue on existing. What they care about is what happens between them. We can change them by changing their environment or by helping them to manage themselves as an environment in a better way. To some extent, education is how to build an alternative environment, Noah's Ark, inside the school. When outside, there's a storm. But when we build it inside, there's nothing stronger than a surrounding, than an environment. The environment can change, can influence a person, can make him be different. And if we'll be able to build that alternative environment among children, using new methods of teaching and learning, it will be fun and gameful and interesting and social, we have a chance.
One of the problems of us as parents is that we cannot solve problems anymore in an individual way. Like I have a problem with my daughter or with my son, and I'm trying to solve his problem. It's have to be now more holistic approach. This is why we're saying we have to build groups, we have to build a society, because from where they get the values? From the society. If we have a better society, we'll have a better individual also.
From one way, we need to make a child that can win, that can succeed, and the other way we need to build a child that is good-hearted, that has values. So I think sometimes it's not...
It's a very good question. It's a very natural question. They have these natural tendencies. They envy others. They want to be respected. They want to belong. They want to be the king, the queen of the class. They want to get attention. That's natural. We cannot fight with that. We need to use that. I can envy you and want that you will not have what you have. That's black envy. Or I can envy you and love you because the fact that you're better makes me better, right? When I was running professionally in athletics, I used to travel abroad because in Israel I had no competition. So I didn't cry that they're stronger. I improved the records by going there. The same thing happens here. We can use all of the natural desires, natural inclinations of children, just utilize them, right? I want to be respected. Let's respect in school the kids who donate, who contribute. Let's do a competition. Who loves more? Who gives more? Who invests more in others? Who gives a better example? A competition. We have winners and we have prizes, etc. Let's compete against ourselves, how much we've improved from the last time we've tried. Let's compete against the clock and see how we as a group develop. Let's compete against our previous achievement. It doesn't have to be dog eat dog, right? Because it doesn't work this way also in society and success. We don't build a better society by, killing each other and stepping on one another. A better society? No, right? It happens sometimes. But even in organizations today, the latest reports from McKinsey, they're saying that the heads of manpower today are desperate to find workers who are not only professionals, but also know how to work in teams and how to manage a team, how to resolve work in a conflict. In Latin America in general, conflict is an issue. People don't like conflicts. They run from conflicts. But we can grow from them. We can learn how to work with them. You will help children by developing them to not run away from challenges and problems and issues, but rather solving them. You can contribute to them personally, to their personal life, to their family, to their community, etc., and also to the work and so on, to the world of work. And eventually, we're in the field of education. Our aim, the big people who go to the field of education are irrational people. They devote their lives to the children of others, right? But they eventually come to this profession, not because of money, not because of fame, right? They come because they have a higher goal. They want to build a better society. They want to allow others to realize themselves. And we have to do that. We owe that to ourselves, to our children, and to our society and community.
Just to say that I think that we need to have a better definition to this word successful. What is a successful person? Is that mean that he have lots of zeros in his bank or many cars? Or does that mean that he's bringing some value to society? And it doesn't have to be this or that. It could be very rich, it can be very intelligent person, you can have all the masters and degrees and so on, but you can also have these values. So we used to be in the past like have a conflict, what is more important, values or grades? Today we understand that it goes together. If you are a value person and you also intelligent person, now you have something to bring to society that's more valuable, and you also be a happier person, right, of course.
Gordon College of Education is considered to be one of the best colleges for teacher preparation in Israel today. It's leading in the whole state and also globally in the integration of technology and education, and also in the aspect of non-formal education, well-being, etc. So the college is leading in Israel and also globally. We work with governments, and we won tenders of the World Bank and of UNICEF and of the European Union, lead global projects of millions of euros that aspire to build a better society. And the college trains the educators of tomorrow in Israel and abroad. And here we are an extension of the work of the college that trains teachers how to be group facilitators, the teachers of the future. Also, we work with systems of education. We work with countries, also in Latin America, and we work with the municipalities in Israel in schools to allow them to be future-oriented.